You're listening to the Heroes Powerhour presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan Zexorus and DJ Tyrant. Welcome everyone to the Heroes Power. This is episode 123 of the Heroes of Storm podcast, brought to you by BlizzPro.com. I'm your host, as always, DJ Tyrant. With me, we have the full crew, and it's post BlizzCon. We have tons of stuff to talk about. HGC concluded. We have a brand new champion of HGC and a repeat winner at that, but that spoils exactly who won. But anyways, let's talk about our week in games.
There were 3 possible repeats. That doesn't spoil.
Okay. Balrog fan BP, how has your week in gaming been?
Not too bad. I messed around with some of the new stuff, the new arena stuff in Hearthstone. I had fun with that for a while. And then BlizzCon came, and like everybody, I got super engorged during the Warcraft announcements and immediately turned my subscription back on. And then spent all of Sunday leveling a new character just because the world is gorgeous and Azeroth is a wonderful place to be. And yeah, we played the pre-show games today, and that was awful. And I hate everything.
It was pretty rough. Zexorus, how about you? What has your weekend games been like?
It's been pretty insane. Watched BlizzCon, decided to start raging. Got bad news from Alebeard over the weekend, and He tried. He did. I'll give him credit. He actually asked the question, and so I've been on a tear, demanding an answer from Blizzard at this point. I picked up Stardew Valley.
Oh boy.
Did you?
All right. This isn't going to become the Stardew Power Hour. Sorry.
Yeah, I did pick up Stardew Valley. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
And how many hours did you play on the first day?
Not that many, because I bought it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I played a few days, and then I just kind of passed out. But I bought it on the Switch because I'm lazy and I don't feel like playing it on the PC. But casted some Tespa, Reckley, everything. All in all, everything's good, and I'm trying to figure out which way I got to scoot. I think I got to scoot to the left, because half my face is on the screen.
It looks better now. Anyways,
there it goes.
Physical art. I saw you at BlizzCon, so
I saw you too.
You didn't get much games? You didn't get much gaming in this week. I'm assuming.
Not so much. I lost my voice on Friday morning. Willie can't really listen to me talk very much. I played most of the demos. I did not play StarCraft because that's kind of a moot point for me. I don't know how to, so I just sit there staring at the buttons, wondering which ones to push.
You just click as many as you can very fast. You get a high APM, and people think you're good.
There we go.
That's really all you need to worry about.
The thing about BlizzCon I love the most is that before BlizzCon is when everybody arrives and all the parties begin and all the meetups happen. So Thursday was this event called Con Before the Storm, where they did meet and greets with a bunch of the HGC teams and a bunch of WoW arena teams and streamers and all of that. And they do art gallery giveaways. That's my favorite event. I think there's a Hearthstone Tavern brawl or something there as well.
Yeah, they'd set that up so you could do that.
But it was really fun. So I got to see my home team, and a couple of the other ones were hanging out in the area as well. We did play the Heroes demo a bunch. I practically lived in the new Blizzard World map. I think I played that demo 6 times. And did get to play Hanzo, did not get to play Alexstrasza. Saw their skins, and of course, my first thing on the demos is, what does their slash dance and what does their slash taunt do? Always very important to see. And after that, it was kind of the ceremonies and the the trading booth. Like we like the Dark Moon Fair, all the pins and the patches, and I don't think people realize how much of a black market that is. The parts of BlizzCon you don't see are the trading. The trading goes on for about 5 days, so people can get their whole collections of everything.
Yeah, it gets crazy because I never really got sucked into that in the past, but they brought out these patches. Actually, let me grab my. So the goodie bag was this backpack, and they brought out these patches that you could get, and there were a whole bunch of official ones and then a bunch of community ones. And so, since everyone was wearing their backpacks, they all
You got
were.
my favorite too. You get the Baby Ragnaros one. That one's my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of people were asking me about this one in the middle here, the BlizzCon community one. I got lucky and got invited to the Blizzard Mixer on Thursday night, and they were giving them out there. But
Yeah,
if you saw some of the community managers on the floor, they would give them out as well. So.
Yeah, there were a lot of fun hidden things. They always like to unleash stuff randomly. Like some of the patches you could only find on the seats at this stage, and some of them they had given to the vendors, and they would just go around sticking them on people's bags without telling them. So Blizzard likes to do a lot of fun little things like that.
Did you get the Mercy Wings though? I was unsuccessful.
I had a couple friends who got it, including one who started the trend. He made a sign that says, "We'll give hugs for Mercy Wings."
I saw that.
He was the first one to make that sign, and then about 6 other people had that sign within 10 minutes.
Maybe I didn't see them. Maybe I saw one of the imposters.
But it was crazy. I mean, the opening ceremony, if anyone didn't watch it, go and watch it. There's a lot of new content coming out for a bunch of their games. It was insane. The people there are crazy. The fact that they sold an entire third wave of tickets and still managed to fill every stage was nuts. Like HGC no longer shared with the Warcraft arena. Like previous years they shared a stage and one had to go after the other. Both stages were full at the same time. And now that they moved StarCraft, the Overwatch arena was in the center, and that was at capacity for about 10 hours every day. It would just, people would leave and they would refill it right away. The HGC stage, I don't think it was empty once the entire weekend. It was nuts how many people were there.
Yeah, and also the interesting thing was instead of announcing all of the big announcements during opening ceremonies on the main stage, they actually had the Hearthstone announcements at the Hearthstone stage and the Overwatch announcements at the Overwatch stage. So I actually went to the Overwatch arena to watch the opening ceremonies versus the main stage, which was kind of a unique experience, and that was fun. And definitely, I was sitting next to a friend of mine who works at Blizzard during open ceremonies, and it took me way too long to figure out that JL and Brack was going for a vanilla joke with the ice cream joke. But about halfway through,
how did that take you?
I don't know. But about halfway through, I look at him and I'm like, "Are you guys seriously doing this?" And he just like smiles at me.
Jeff was super sassy during the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Like the jokes and the payload jokes and he cracked me up this year. He really did. Mr. Kaplan. Good job, Mr. Kaplan.
Yeah, but
in all the panels I saw him in, he was definitely usually stealing the show. He has the most personality out of most of the people that I saw interviewed anyways.
Oh, and speaking of personality, we have confirmed that Metzen snuck in. It was walking around in the disguise of a beard and a baseball cap.
Yeah, I saw him tweet later on about being, undercover with his baseball hat.
That's pretty funny.
And we were actually pretty proud of the community because nobody spammed Twitter with 1,000 selfies with him. Like he was there with his wife and his kids, and actually people didn't find out he was there until the second day.
That's cool. I like that happened. And yeah, I hope he's enjoying his retirement and stepping away from Blizzard. But PFLMG, we haven't forgotten about you. How was your weekend games?
I watched. So I did not. I'm the only one here who didn't get a virtual ticket because I'm a chump. Also a college student. But I watched the opening ceremonies live. I got really hyped for hot stuff. I got really hyped for the Warcraft expansion. That cinematic was amazing. I'm intrigued by Classic. I did not play WoW in vanilla. I got it when he said my favorite flavor is like cookies and cream. I'm like, oh, this is where we're going.
Yeah, that was about where
Yeah.
I got it too.
But yeah, it was really cool. And then I spent the next while like refreshing MMO Champ to get the WoW updates, and I went to BlizzPro for all the other ones. Read Charlie's articles and all the hot snooze. So I'm really excited about the changes that we'll get to talk about here later. I did play Alex on PTR today, like 2 AI games.
How
I
long was
lost the
your
second
queue?
one.
Oh.
It was like AI teammates. So there was no queue, but I lost the second one because I had Vikings AI, and they just literally died all the time. It's just like they just
Thanks,
walk
Blizzard.
towards somebody and just die. Then be like, oh
Oh.
great, at least I have 2 more Vikings to feed kills because this is great.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
And it was basically a 4v6. But Jimmy, you can go.
Yeah, but really, just want to recap everything that was announced for those of you who somehow missed all the news of BlizzCon. Alex Strauss and Hanzo came out. There was a really great trailer for that. Go check that out. Also announced in a trailer, kind of just bullet points passing by, which I honestly was not expecting any gameplay updates, but we are getting a personal MMR ranking kind of update where your personal skill in the game will affect, I think, how much you lose or gain through through the ranked matchmaking. Also, stealth rework coming completely for all stealth heroes, as well as laning changes, which should be really interesting. But that was most of the heroes news. They kind of hinted.
I missed the laning change one. Could you expand on that just a little bit?
I think, if I remember, it's just
ammunition.
the removing the ammunition on towers.
And
there is a bunch. And
globes are like they're neutral globes now. You can pick up both globes if you wanted.
Oh, that's right.
And they
Let me
removed the bonus tower for forts, like the isolated one, not attached to anything.
Yeah, let me jump in. So, like Carl said, the standalone tower behind the fort walls, those are gone. Towers have infinite ammo. Forts have infinite ammo. Keeps have infinite ammo. Forts and keeps now also have true sight.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
Reveal
let's
self.
see.
No.
The
No
laning
more abattoir
changes.
hunting.
Laning changes, like Carl said, globes start off as allied globes for 4 seconds and change to neutral globes for another 4 seconds. Creeps are getting a small health buff. They want creeps to be meaningful in terms of pushing.
Mhm.
So they're getting, especially with the unlimited ammo at this point. So that's going to get a buff. Any changes? Camps are changing. Merc camps are changing. Siege Giants, you can now avoid all of their attacks, either in lane or as you're taking them. Night camps, the spell knight will have a spell armor aura around it. Hellbats reduce armor. And there's more changes on that. They said that will be coming down the line. Let's see.
Yeah, and then the objective changes, where all maps are standardized to have their first objective spawn at either 130 or 330. The 330 ones are all the ones that make you leave lane, like Sky Temple and probably Cursed and stuff like that, where you kind of stop laning and you go to an objective. The stuff like, I think like Braxis will probably open up earlier.
Yeah.
And like Spider Queen is always open and stuff like that. So the whole thing is to try and make, like, they don't want to make like a 20-minute League of Legends laning phase, but they want to make it more than like the 30 seconds it is.
Yeah.
So they're saying we are giving these kind of neutral globes, we're giving these later objective spawns to try and allow you to spend, 3 minutes at least fighting your opposing laner and making that a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, all of that sounds pretty good in theory. I like the idea of expanding the laning phase for sure, because there needs to be a little bit more of like a neutral game at the start, especially on certain maps. It just feels so awkward. Warhead Junction's one that comes to mind, where you're just kind of like waiting around for the warheads to spawn. There's like nothing to do.
Yeah, and I think, interestingly enough, from my limited exposure as a caster and trying to be like the analyst type caster, there's not much downtime in HOTS, and I think having, like, just from like an esports perspective, like having that extra minute at the start for the caster to go like, here's what this team is trying to accomplish, here's how they're going to do it, and then kind of go over some of the individual skill matchups, really allows some of that to grow before we get into the constant action.
I definitely agree.
I quite enjoyed the reaction to the performance-based matchmaking announcement.
Yeah, I want to touch on that real quick, because that was actually, when I was watching the What's Next panel, that was actually pretty interesting. And they provided like a lot of like examples and whatnot for that. So if you lose a game, you're still losing MMR. There's no way around that. But with this new performance-based matchmaking, you're going to it sounds like you're going to lose far less MMR in a loss than what you normally would if you're like outperforming by a wide margin. Okay? And like they were giving examples for like Illidan's. They're like basing this criteria on like damage soak, amount of damage you've dealt, XP soak, few limited deaths, and how often you're taking camps. So if you're doing those things, you're meeting metrics to be what they consider not bad at Illidan. But like you take someone similar, let's say Kerrigan, you've got those same three categories at the start: amount of damage, XP soak, limited deaths. But for her, it's more crowd control. How often are you landing, your stuns, your combos, stuff like that? So that's actually, pretty interesting to me personally. And then they went further and brought up a master player who took a Bronze 5 account and ran it up to master. And they showed like his growth in the old system, which was like 140 some odd games to get him into master rank. And then they charted that same progress using the new MMR system, and he would have hit master in literally half the time. So
that's good, because that'll help those lower MMR games, so people who are doing that kind of stuff get out of there quicker.
Yeah, and they specifically said that was to kind of root out the smurfing, because a lot of people, I'm guilty of it too sometimes, people will make new accounts just to run in and just crush people and laugh at them, like that poor Rainer. Oh
man.
and this gets those highly skilled players out of that range much quicker.
So here's the question. If your team wins, but you perform like crap, do you get less points?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That
is.
Is
make sure it's a full system.
That is the implication. If you win, you're still gaining MMR, but if you fed 20 kills over the course of that win, you're not going to gain nearly as much MMR, unless it was like 100 to 100 in the kill score.
Yeah. All right.
I wonder if that's affected by the people who are constantly disconnecting as well.
Yeah, and they are taking people who purposely grief into account, and they said they will be like automating that system for for punishments, essentially. Where if they see they can utilize that data to find people who are like intentionally griefing. Like if they're playing a certain way and then all of a sudden like it tanks really hard, like they're like, that's a pretty obvious indicator that they're not playing how they should be playing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us aren't Grandmaster players playing in Bronze, but I think I think the best thing the system can do is will basically remove the elo hell argument. Like if you're actually stuck in a place where your teammates are holding you back, the system will reward you and say, no, you're actually doing well, we'll boost you. If you're not getting any gains from this system, then Blizzard is literally telling you, no, you're not being held back, you're just this good.
I wanna agree with you on that, but you're still gonna lose MMR in a loss. Like I understand your argument that your wins should more than make up for your losses in terms of MMR. Some people are just really unlucky though.
Yeah. I think what I guess my hope for this coming into the game is going to do is just encourage people to keep trying, because at that point you feel like it's a lost game, but you're still going to try because you're going to be like, well, I don't want to lose too much of my ranking.
Yeah.
And that could actually turn it around. 6.5 out of 10, obviously.
Yeah. My worry is that a lot of people are going to care too much about those numbers. They're going to throw in the towel early and then try to limit their deaths and stuff like that, and just bail every team fight after a certain point. That's my worry.
I mean, the system usually, like you said, it rewards like, oh, how much time you CC'd them and how many kills do you have and stuff like that. So it's like, yes, not dying is a part of it, but playing to not die and not get anything done is going to be just as bad as playing really aggressively and dying all the time. Mm-hmm. Like people will have to find like the line to walk, or they're just not going to get their bonus points.
That's a fair point.
Balrog fan, I want to hear from you. Yeah,
it's a better system, and trolls are going to troll. I mean, no matter what you do,
you're
still going to get jerks that want to mess up your gameplay experience. There's really no real way around that other than teaching people how to be nice in school or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, like you're going to run into that. So this is a better system for figuring out people's talents. So just flat out.
They need to get the belt. Teach them some manners.
Before we move on from this, I've heard people say this system exists in Overwatch and is not well received there. So from our two actual Overwatch players, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh man. Yeah, it's kind of a weird system in there, but I don't know. I feel like the Heroes team will implement it in a better way.
Well, so you're saying it's not there. It doesn't do well in Overwatch because of the implementation. Like the idea can work.
Yeah, I believe so.
I've always thought that the monkey wrench in that system for Overwatch was definitely the fact that people can change characters. Like in Heroes, you're going to be committed to your hero pick once you take it, and then it's going to value your MMR based on that. Like if you want to start messing around with a hero that you're kind of good with, but isn't going to win you the game like midway through, you can do that in Overwatch.
Yeah, that's kind of
we're not doing anything. I'm just going to be Tracer now.
That's kind of the complexity of it, and also if you generally play support in Overwatch, there's definitely been times where you just do not get nearly as much rank gain as even if you're on the same rank as your friend you're playing with. They'll get more than you just because they're on a carry, and I guess that's easier for the system to identify that you've done well on that. And I guess that's obviously the concern for the system in Heroes, but I think they have better tracking of that. I mean, they already have it in game kind of to a degree where at the score screen it pops up, oh, you did X better than 50% of the player base on this hero.
And the game does things like tracks clutch heals and time shield it, things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it has those stats. It measures like, okay, how many times do you die relative to the other hero? And whenever it doesn't pop up, that's probably because you died too much. But they have these stats. So I don't really know what Overwatch system tracks. I feel like HOTS has the tools to do it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Balrog fan, I just have one more question before we move on for you. Do you think the system will encourage you to try out ranked again, or is ranked still not something you're personally interested in?
I don't know. Like, every now and again I get an itch to do it, but I get so salty every time I think about the idea that I'm still paying for the sins I made in the Tech Alpha. Like, why am I trying to fight past that still? I should have been, like, fresh, you know, when we got into... My rank would be so much better if I wasn't, you know... like, that one bad day of HOTS on the very first rank placement days haunted me. And it doesn't give you a lot of motivation. And plus, I mean... we're 5 people with very different schedules, and I like playing a lot with you guys, but like just solo queue stuff, I don't draw much enjoyment out of that. It just kind of actively frustrates me most of the time. So I think this is just more of like a team game for me, and always will be. If we had a group of 5 that was like really pushing to rank up, I'd be there. But you know, just the idea of... I'd love to say, yeah, these changes are really going to get me back there, but I just still can't see myself solo queuing. It's such an awful experience in Heroes. Maybe the voice integration will change that, but I feel like I'm just going to be called, you know, a bunch of slurs the whole time once voice chat comes up. I'd love to be proven wrong.
I disagree, though. I think I've always thought this way, but having a game like this, you're in it for a good, 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and you can't communicate with your team outside of pinging things. I feel like that has a totally different reactionary time as being able to communicate. Like, it's like Skype Teams versus Quick Play, basically.
I agree. I think the communication could definitely help for the people who use it responsibly. But...
Yeah, I think this is a very unique use case, but it was available on the show floor, and so I played a match with basically a 4-stack. I solo queued in line essentially, and we played, and we were calling out stuff, and we just dominated that game. Like I don't know if obviously you can't tell if the skill level is anywhere remotely even. Right. But we were communicating, and we had a good time. We all were like, yeah, good game, everybody, and went our separate ways, and it felt good. And the nice thing about this voice chat system, I think, is that it's going to be opt-in. So you won't be automatically put into it, which will be, I think, good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't know, it might be a slight barrier to, like, the voice chat might be a slight barrier to ranked for me. Just because, like, I like to play HOTS a lot, where I'm kind of chilling, and I have something else in the screen I'm trying to watch, and all this is going on. It's like, I definitely agree that a voice chat should, you know, make it a more competitive experience. And, like, when I'm in ranked, I shouldn't really be queuing with the expectation that I'm not going to talk. But I don't know, like, how often I'll be mentally like, yep, I'm going to get into this ranked game. I'm going to try and talk with all these people I don't know, and I'm going to try and work on this. Versus, like, I'm just going to play an unranked draft mode and mute everybody and watch some esports on the side. So, I don't know. Yeah,
it's one of those things. It definitely is going to help, though. I don't know, that'll help me personally play more, but play more solo anyways.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I could have like 4 or 5 or 7 great games in that voice chat, but all it's going to take is one like person ruining an entire game for me to just like hate it completely.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Nope. You're getting my opinion on this.
Yeah, go for it. Let me know, Mr. Dota.
Yeah, sorry in advance, Elena. Dota has voice chat. It is the worst thing on the planet. I enjoyed Heroes so much because I don't have to hear that one guy constantly complain about Charlie going to his profile picture.
Rip.
I also
Anyways,
like to
continue on.
that.
Yeah, no. It when I would get into a game of Dota, the first thing I would do was mute everybody on the other team. Because nothing ever good came out of voice chat. I have played something like 2,000 odd games of Dota, and
give mana. Give mana.
Yeah. Kato, give mana.
Sorry, I know, except me and you. I'm sorry.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever watched, but like nobody.
Huh? No.
I know it's not that.
It's I've been so against having voice chat in Heroes that, like, y'all about to see. It's not gonna be a fun experience. I'm glad it's opt in rather than opt out, because I'm not the kind of person to just let stuff go. You want to pull me down to your level? Fine. I'm used to fighting in the mud. I will get dirty with you. I will be one of those guys who ends up having like a 20-year silence on my account.
You guys are why we can't have nice things.
No, I usually keep my mouth shut until I finally get tired of it and someone starts.
Yeah, but the idea behind it is it's supposed to be for the good of ranking, for the people who do want to do better and think that communication will help them get that edge. Yeah, you're gonna have the trash pile, but every game has the trash pile. But most video games have voice communication.
You're not wrong. I'm completely acknowledging that it should be all those things. I'm just telling you guys, don't get your hopes up. If it turns out wonderful, great. I was wrong. I will eat my words.
Yep.
You still owe me a fruit hat, so
yeah,
I don't trust that.
No. But I'm just saying, expect a lot of flaming. Expect at least one guy you've got to mute every game.
Yeah, but you're talking to someone who deals with that on a daily basis. Between go make me a sandwich and girls can't play video games, like, you become immune to certain levels of trolling to where when you ignore it, they switch it off and they start paying attention to the game.
I don't think that's a fair comparison, because, like, you have to as a woman on the internet, you have to deal with a level of harassment that's not normal. Like,
Yeah.
you have to deal with so much more crap than, like, Carl or myself or Charlie or even Jimmy. Well, not so much Jimmy. Like, he would have to just deal with, so much more harassment just for saying hi. And, like, I don't think you're not wrong, but I don't think that's a fair comparison.
I guess.
So,
anyways, chat coming in a few months. We'll have to see how that is. The other big feature, though, that was kind of glossed over, I feel like no one's really talked too much about this, is the new camera perspective. They're bringing the camera back up a little bit, which makes me happy, especially as an observer. I'm watching the game in that first zoom out has made me want that for playing Heroes for over a year and a half, and getting that is going to be really nice. I'm really excited for it. I don't think it was in the build at BlizzCon, but I don't know. There was a lot to kind of keep track of. 2 new heroes, along with all these gameplay improvements coming sometime next year.
And that's kind of a backhanded nerf to long-range characters. That Chromie's no longer hitting you from 2 screens away.
Yeah.
It's just now a screen and a quarter away. You can actually see her skill range, unless you just have really bad camera work.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm actually that was like the most exciting change for me. I was like, oh, because casting and stuff. I want that pulled back camera so much more than anything else. That's so nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get it. So yay.
PFMG, what are your thoughts on this as our kind of ranged assassin specialist?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strict upgrade. It's nice to be able to see threats that are coming for you from further away a little bit sooner. I think there's that esports game. I don't remember who was playing. It was like the Grey Mane sitting there clearing on the Towers of Doom, and then the Tracer entered his screen, and then he died.
Oh God, that blow up.
So maybe with this feature, the Tracer entered his screen, and then half a second later he died. So there's a chance he gets away, but probably not.
No, probably.
So not just the life of a ranged assassin is you get to see your death coming that much sooner, and it's great.
The thing, okay, so here's the thing I want to touch base on, and I think this is really important. There was a question at the What's Next panel, and someone
Not a
asked
Shenmue work.
I hate you so much. Now,
Right.
see, you were the last person I thought would do this. I expected this out of Charlie or Jimmy, maybe even Elena, but you were the last person. See, you've already derailed me.
We're not. He's in a good spot right now. That's
I
what
hate
Blizzard
you
told us. That's
so
what they've
much.
been telling us.
I
I
hate
can
all
only
of
believe
you.
it at this
You guys have to trigger him when he's on a good path. Like,
Like, here I am being serious for once.
put him back on the rails.
All right, Zax. What were you going to discuss?
So, someone asked a question if there was the potential for McCree coming to the Nexus, and there is potential for McCree to come to the Nexus. The next question after that was, will he have a cigar? And if he does, will Tychus get his cigar back? And Blizzard answered, we'll give Tychus McCree's cigar. So that was
man.
Maybe Tychus will
like-
just get him a crease skin.
And you were thinking Willie was on a good train of thought.
no, but
Hey, he's
So-
still talking BlizzCon.
So the other thing that really picked my interest during that panel was something Carl we talked about a couple weeks ago with that League of Legends style match finder. You know, you remember we were talking about how
yeah.
you queue into games on League.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if they thought about implementing something like that for Quick Match, and it was no. We want Quick Match to be something like the Wild West. We're making minor tweaks, but we feel by and large Quick Match is fine. Which I was actually really disappointed in because I really liked the little bit I played of League. I really liked that queue finder. I thought that was a great way to play that game, and they said no duo queue for Hero League. That's not coming back.
So
Quick
did they
Match has
say they
become-
would?
I was just gonna one real quick point. Quick Match has become increasingly volatile with every hero and map release, and it's gonna only get worse if they're gonna leave it untouched.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Carl.
I don't see them ever wanting to focus on that though, because their whole point was, okay, you don't like playing Quick Match, but you don't want to play Hero League, so here's Unranked Draft. Like, why would they touch up Quick Match when they already gave an entire separate game mode just for those people?
Because-
Well, they've done it because they've done it in the past, and the queues have been changed to try to match up with what you have versus what the opposing team has. I mean, you used to have it where you could 5-stack, and you'd have a warrior, 3 DPS, and support, and you'd go up against 5 assassins or something like that, and it was silly.
Yeah, I don't think they're the answer they gave did not satisfy me. I thought that was just
So here's the question.
no.
I can see them abandoning Quick Match to the depths, and I will never enter there again. I'm fine, it's dead to me. But have they ruled out a role-based queue for draft modes?
No, that question was not asked, and it did not come up during the panel that I watched. Charlie, did it come up during your panel at all?
I didn't hear anything asked like that. No.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, and the healing well they are looking into repositioning the healing well with the standalone tower being gone. So,
Okay.
they don't they said it doesn't happen often, but they don't like people sniping the healing wells in the early game. Kind of like how they thought the strategy in the original brawls was you just bum rush the healing well and win the game from there.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
I'm
And
pretty
everyone
guilty
was
of
like,
hunting down
no,
the healing well myself.
no, I was too.
I can't really blame you because it's a valid tactic. It just sucks.
Yeah, it was just super annoying to deal with. It was an awful strategy that just produced so many results in brawls, and it made the game unfun.
Well, not even brawls. I think what was it? Tomb of the Spider Queen, maybe? Where, like, my first thing was to go after the healing well in the bottom corner because there was a tunnel to it.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that was stuff like that is what they're trying to avoid for now. So they're definitely looking into repositioning that healing well with the standalone tower gone. And I really like that idea. That is a good idea. And they noted that poor Charlie, that the standalone tower change is already in the game. With that standalone tower being gone, it's in Volskaya, they said.
Isn't that the map he doesn't get to play?
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't played that yet.
Yeah, I still haven't got to play that map.
Yeah, yeah, but like, and I thought about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, no, that standalone tower is gone. So, because that map, like, it's a large-ish map, but with that tower, that standalone tower gone, it feels massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like Warhead Junction size, and it's more of a Sky Temple size. Sky Temple's big, but you can still get to from bottom to top at a fairly decent clip. Like, but like Warhead Junction is, you set a nap alarm by the time you get to the top.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm tapped out for.
Is it East Brad's time?
No, we need to talk about these new
Not East Brad's
heroes. Brand new heroes. Let's talk about them a little bit, at least. Alexstrasza, the Dragon Queen, is coming to the Nexus. She will be a range support, and interestingly enough, she uses her own life as part of her healing kit, with the Gift of Life, sacrificing a percentage of her life to heal an ally. And then Abundance, which is her other heal, puts a circle on the ground and does AoE heal, and it's a pretty big heal, but you're gonna need to coordinate that.
It's like a 3-second delay.
Yeah, it's a 3-second delay.
It's very, very counterplayable.
Mm-hmm. But it's also very obvious.
Counterplayable.
Mm-hmm. And then Flame Buffet launch Fireball burning damages over 5.5 seconds. But if you heal, you hit enemies that are already burning, it deals bonus damage and slows them and refunds the mana cost. So, yeah, that has a really low cooldown. I think it's like 3 seconds, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's all fine.
I say it's 2.
Or it might be 2.
I think it's
pretty
2 and
low.
they burn for 5 seconds, so you can just barely get a second one if you miss the first attempt.
So she has a pretty big potential for poke, and obviously being from the Red Dragonflight, having that fire theming with her. But those are all nice and wonderful, but the big thing is the hero trait Dragon Queen. You turn into the dragon form of Alexstrasza after a 1.25 second cast time. You gain 500 health, and all of her abilities are empowered.
And the
basically making them
has
better.
A separate dance.
Oh, okay. That I didn't know. Good to know.
And taunt. Dragon has a separate taunt too.
Oh man.
What was the dragon's range or something, like 9 or something like that?
Yeah,
the
9.
Dragon form auto attack range is 9. It is amazing.
It's
I
pretty
played
insane.
it and it is amazing.
So you attack something from your fort wall. How far does that reach?
I don't know. I think basic attack ranges are usually like 4 or 5.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
almost twice.
Almost halfway in the lane.
What's Rainer's attack range? 'Cause
Rainer's is probably 5 or 6.
Good God.
So okay.
So
to be
that's-
fair,
I think Rainer's is
farther.
6.
to be
That's farther than Val's
Yes.
Farflight.
yes. To be fair though, this only lasts 15 seconds.
How long is the
24
cooldown?
seconds if you take the 16 talent.
There we go. Cooldown is like 150 seconds at least, if
How
not
long?
more.
120 or 150 seconds.
And it's like Ragnaros's trait that it's on cooldown when the game starts.
Yes. But if you take the 4 talent, you get a 5-second cooldown reduction every time you hit a burning hero with E. It's nice. Lots of Dragon Queen.
There you go.
I'm never playing another support again.
Yeah.
You don't play support to begin with.
I mean, I will when I have to. Like, if I'm last pick, we don't have a support, I'll pick a support. And if I'm gonna play, I'm gonna pick Alexstrasza here.
Yeah.
What a shame.
She's actually fun. Like,
no, she's super fun.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a support, it's whatever. Alexstrasza is fun. I enjoyed playing her.
The question. Next question: is she like considered a multi-class?
No. She's a support.
That's okay.
The E damage is not that big. Like, it's nice, but it's not that big.
I heard
nice
she was gonna be rumored as a support assassin multi-class.
Yeah, I remember reading that rumor as well, but
yeah, it would have been nice. I would have
liked
that. But true.
Dragon form, I didn't get to play her, but her dragon form does do a fair amount of damage.
She's definitely impactful.
It's also giant.
I don't actually remember what it was called, but it's something that puts like little green spots on the map in a trail and drops fire.
Oh, one of the ults?
Are you talking about Cleansing Flame? Probably.
Possibly.
So,
I
okay.
didn't get to play her, so I don't know, but she's doing a ton of damage.
This is the ult I took. It's her second ult. Basically, she takes to the sky. So she's removed from the map during this. Drops 5 fireballs over 6 seconds at the position of the mouse cursor. Deals damage to enemies or heals heroes. And then 2 seconds after dropping all fireballs, Alexstrasza lands at the position of the mouse cursor. You can make her basically move around the entire map, or at least vertically up and down the entire map using this.
It's definitely, you can get between lanes with it.
Yeah.
I think you are a support. As much as I like to be an assassin player, it's better to actually heal people with this ult.
Oh yeah,
but if they're
absolutely.
low, you can snipe them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun one though. You get to soar over the battlefield, get your dragon shadow going, drop huge fireballs. It's a good time.
Yeah, and the other heroic, I didn't get to play it, but it's pretty interesting. I think really resourceful players will find some really unique places to use it, called Lifebinder. And you bind Alexstrasza's life force with an allied hero, and after 2 seconds, the hero with a lower percentage of health is set to the same health percentage as the other hero. So obviously this is big for higher health targets such as warriors. If Alexstrasza is able to stay away, Cho'Gall, yeah, Cho'Gall.
You can heal his entire health bar if you're full health.
Yeah.
You can take him from 5 HP to full.
So it's basically a ancestral, is what people are going to try to use it as.
It is. It's just the only thing is like one of you has to be high health for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of brings us to the conversation. Like, Blizzard says she's a solo support.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, because like their idea for her is you heal people, you deplete your health with your Q, you gain it back with your W, and granted your W is a substantial heal, but it's hard to stand in that W for 3 seconds, or even try and dip in at the end without them blowing you up with a flame strike or a frost lance.
So who do you pair her with?
Anna.
I was going to say that it wasn't the whole point of adding Anna to kind of move away from this double support every game.
Well, they missed that because
they missed that, unfortunately.
I don't know. I think somebody maybe with AoE heals, because her one AoE heal is pretty hard to hit.
Like Lucio?
Yeah, Lucio or Rhaegar or Brightwing or something might be nice with her. I think her Q heal is pretty significant. It's on like a 4 or 5 second cooldown, I think. So as long as you're full health, her Q heal is really nice. And then in your dragon form, it doesn't cost any health, and it's always just really big. So I don't know. So dragon form Alexstrasza does not need another support. She's just fine. The only question is like, can you actually play the battlefield around such that you're playing around your Alexstrasza and you're like, all right, we're not going to really take a big fight right now because our trade is down. Can we not give up that much during this 150 seconds, or do we need another support so that we can actually win these team fights in between? So I don't know. It's a long cooldown.
She's gonna be one of those supports who sucks at healing against burst.
Yeah.
Oh, I heartily agree. I think it's gonna be very hard for her to heal against supports.
She'll probably be able to solo pretty well against sustained damage comps, though. I mean, yeah, you can like target, but the potential obviously against sustained damage, they're probably not going to nuke you out in those 3 seconds where you're waiting on the cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll just tweak it so you're not just sitting around waiting for that one cooldown.
Yeah, that would probably be the case if she's not performing as they want.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Hanzo.
She looks really fun, but she looks like a weak support to me, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I kind of felt after one game of playing her, which is obviously all the information I need to make a full judgment
Perfect sample
on a
size.
hero.
Neither one of them seemed that like last year. Ragnaros and Varian were like powerhouse heroes. Like neither one of these heroes, they're good, but they don't seem that way. They
just
seem
balance.
Yeah, they seem more of like a mix as opposed to, holy moly, I can't wait until this is released. I can do all of these things, and it's going to be crazy, and they're going to get...
I can play as a dragon. So...
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that way about Alex.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's different than, okay, Ragnaros, like you're playing
No, I am
Lord.
much more hyped to play Alex than Ragnaros.
Just remember, double dragons. As I show my BlizzCon shirt, sorry.
See, they could have released Alexstrasza and Chromie together, and I would have been okay with that. And then they could have released Hanzo and Genji together, and I would have been okay with that too. Like, they missed like a beautiful opportunity.
Oh, but they have the voice lines coming between Chromie and Alexstrasza and Genji and Hanzo.
I hope Alexstrasza says, "I should have been here first."
No, I mean, so here's the thing. Is they talked about how they learned from Chromie's development. Like, they tried to kind of make her a dragon at first, and it didn't work, and they kind of like took those lessons and they applied it later. Like, I would have been mad if Chromie was the first physical dragon, like the first with an actual dragon form.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That feels like Chromie's a cool character. She shows up a lot. Apparently, she's giving us classic WoW, but like, she's too small to waste like the first dragon on.
What's wrong with being small?
I'm not talking about her size at all. I don't care that she's like Alexstrasza is the queen of the dragons. Like, this is a character you could say, yeah, this is our dragon. It had to be her or Deathwing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had a dragon in the game.
No one's getting Deathwing. At this point, Deathwing is just a meme.
Technically, Sandragosa is in the game.
Okay, is that what you're going for, Charlie?
That's what I assumed.
No, I was gonna say anybody can be a dragon in Dragonshire.
Oh.
You just had to let him talk, Billy. Really?
No, I wanted to know where he was going with that.
He was going to dad jokes. That's where he was going.
All right, so the second half of the Double Dragons is obviously Hanzo. So, yay, more Overwatch heroes. I know we're all so very excited about this.
There's been so many Overwatch heroes lately.
I've been very anti-Overwatch heroes, but we really need a ranged assassin, and his mechanics look pretty fun.
So what about his mechanics excite you then? Because I know you were
really
definitely
like the idea of the ricochet shots and then closed areas. Like, it showed him off like people trying to escape from him in the bush and then getting hit by like 17 arrows super quickly. So like, it's just not like an option. You have to escape differently from him. And like I said, I've been saying this for a while. Valas are really only good auto attack range support. And to kind of mirror those sentiments, they recently nerfed Vala and up Tychus and Raynor a little bit. Now, if we throw Genji in the mix for those picks,
Hanzo.
Or Hanzo, I'm sorry, in the mix for those picks, then we get a much healthier auto attack pool to choose from, especially if his damage is relevant and good, which I assume it will be. I really like the idea of the Storm Shot too, like holding Q and kind of charging it and being able to move like pretty freely and dynamically, and then just releasing your move when you need it. That, I feel like that could be something that's going to be difficult to get used to initially, but it's going to be very, very rewarding and fun kind of mechanic for
you can move with the
players.
Shatter Shot too.
Huh? You both talked at once.
I said it's a Varus Q. But I think so. Y'all will have to correct me, since you actually went to BlizzCon and saw him played. But from what I heard, he has a slow auto attack.
He does.
Yeah, it's a really slow
So-
on
Very
attack.
slow. He also has this talent. I forget what level it was, but one of his talent options is to one-shot minions. So if he decides to do lane clearing, he has a talent that just one-shots everything.
One of the what's the next panel, I think it was, or maybe it was Charlie's panel, but they talked about Nova's anti-tank shells and them wanting Hanzo to kind of hit like that. And I think he has a chargeable auto attack, if I remember correctly. Like he can
No.
delay. No?
That's his Q.
His
Oh,
Q is
okay.
a charged while you
Okay.
think you move while you're doing. His auto attack is separate. But
Yeah,
he's more like a even like a poke or even like a burst auto attack. One of the two. Like he's not going to be hitting like a Vala or a Rainer where it's like attack. But it's going to be more like I like have very specific. Like I'm going to hit this Q. I'm going to put this one auto attack in. And it's going to be significant.
That's his rotation looks fun and good.
And his vision is very helpful for engaging around corners and
he can jump
behind
over walls.
walls. Yeah, his wall jump is not nearly as Genji-like. His is more of a one-dimensional escape slash advance type of thing to like
What
chase
is
someone
the
down with a scatter
Cool
shot.
down on his wall jump.
I don't remember
That's
the
a good
number.
question.
I wasn't
that-
paying attention to the number.
Is that okay? I didn't know if I was muted or not. Is that a skill or a?
It's his trait.
Okay,
Like
what I was thinking
Genjo's.
of. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also not very, not reliable, but he's more of a don't touch me character as opposed to Genji is like I'm gonna get in your face. His is
Yeah.
more of a don't get near me because I can move and focus, and his scatter shot feels like it has a pretty low cooldown to me. Same with his Q, where it's like very easy to just keep going with him and keep fighting.
Did you play him?
I played him a
No.
couple times.
How mana gated was he?
I didn't really feel that much. It was more of like because at the demos it's a little different. People are very hesitant to engage with him, but he feels slow, but he also feels like he could do a lot of damage because like if you aim your scatter shots right, people can't get away from you, no matter how far away or what run abilities they have. If they have that one last hit point, like his scatter shot goes that far.
Yep.
The
Well-
one thing in the panel I watched, they didn't dive into. They just covered his Q and W. They never talked about the E or the ultimates. So what is his E?
E is the Vision 1. Like he has an Overwatch where you shoot any direction you want and that point is revealed.
So does it? I mean, functionality-wise, is it like Tehran's Owl? Like, does it cover the whole screen or?
No, it's an
you can
area.
Point and click it. Yeah.
More like a Farsight.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, similar to a
Time
Farsight.
Walker's Pursuit.
Yeah, but you can point it, to a bush, over walls, through a wall to the other side, like around a corner.
Then one ult is the double dragons, and it's
Mhm.
really wide and does more damage in the center. It's like a whole lane wide for the full ult.
Oh, okay.
I will have to look at this hero page to be conveniently linked for the Dragon Strike. Wait, no, that's it.
It's Dragon's,
Dragon's
Arrow.
Oh yeah, it's an ash arrow or ash ult.
Oh,
It's a fire missile that travels across the battleground, explodes upon hitting an enemy hero, doing 100 damage to all nearby enemies and stunning them for half a second. After traveling a medium distance, the damage is increased to 200 and the stun duration at 1.25 seconds. After traveling a long distance, the damage is increased to 350 and the stun duration at 2 seconds. So
So
it's
this-
an ash ult.
I was
Yeah, that
just
is
getting ready
actual.
to say that. I was literally, because that's one of the few heroes I played, and I managed to land a ult literally from the fountain onto someone that led to a triple kill.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's
I
just
like Dragon's Arrow. I didn't
it's a
take Dragon's
really
Strike.
strong engage tool.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just can get these picks where you're like, oh hey, I know roughly there. I'm gonna fire this arrow. They're gonna get stunned, and my team can engage onto the stunned target, and it's really really great.
I
Um,
can see that
what
working really
is-
well with ETC and Garrosh.
What's the cool down?
Yeah,
Do we know on Dragon Arrow? Did either of you get a
I
chance to
don't
play?
know.
I honestly didn't pay attention to the numbers while I was playing. I should have more.
Dragon
but-
Strike looks like it's going to do a lot of damage. So, I don't know. I think if you're getting engaged on more and you're fighting these close corridors where they can't really escape the double dragons, that's going to be good. But if your team is like you need to provide the engage to your team and you want to get picks off, I don't know. I don't think there's any situation where Dragon's Arrow is actually going to be bad. But people might pick Dragon Strike because it's more fun to do damage.
I think Dragon Strike is going to be the I want to see this ult, but I think that one will be more map dependent than Dragon's Arrow will be.
Mm-hmm.
For like smaller close quarters, like Tomb of the Spider Queen and things like that. Because the more spread out maps, Dragon's Arrow is far more helpful. I did notice that on this Hanzo page that he has an elf skin, which is totally different from the skin we got to play on the demo.
So there's a third skin.
Yeah.
Third guy
I don't know.
skin.
Am I allowed to? I don't know, because it was on the demo.
If it's in the demo, it's totally fine to talk about.
Okay, the demon skin from his Halloween kit with the black skin, that was one of his skins in the demo.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was the one that was real popular where he's got the white outfit and he's got the black skin and the demon eyes. But this elf skin is kind of Farstrider. That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun heroes. You can really mix up the lore together.
It looks like Kael'thas is cosplaying.
Maybe he is.
So, I actually like the idea of Hanzo in the Nexus, and Charlie raised a really good point the other day, is because we need an actual sniper in the game that's not Chromie, and Nova's a joke.
Yeah, as much as I am infinitely more hyped for Alexstrasza as a character, I really don't care about Hanzo as a character. I love Alexstrasza. I'm probably going to play so much more Hanzo than Alexstrasza. It makes me sad.
Yep. Oh,
I mean,
man.
this does seem like his abilities do seem actually very useful, and especially his ultimate. Like, what was the with the sonic arrow, like large vision for 8 seconds, and if it hits an enemy, it follows them for 8 seconds. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a 16-second cooldown or something.
It's got to be a
It
pretty
was
significant
probably
cooldown.
lengthy.
Yeah.
It was not that long. Not like 16 seconds, though.
So less
Really?
than 16 seconds?
Unless they change it. Like, when are their release dates?
Alexstrasza is probably next week because she's on PTR already.
Okay.
It could be
I
a
would-
2-week PTR because of BlizzCon, but
Yeah.
we don't know.
They're both going to be out before the end of the year. That's all that was.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like last year. One this month, maybe one next month.
Yeah, I would not expect Hanzo this month.
But I just I figured they'll take some of the feedback from the demos because there was a lot of people doing that, and go from there. The one thing that I didn't like about him is sometimes they felt kind of clunky because his movements are very slow and his auto attack is slow compared to a lot of the other characters. So it's definitely a timing thing that people have to get used to.
It was brought up in the panel that something isn't functioning right and it's affecting the way he plays. I forget exactly what was said because it was a very detailed question asked, but Blizzard was like, yeah, what's on the floor right now isn't correct, Hanzo. PTR Hanzo will be the right version.
As
And
long
also-
as his basic attack damage is actually really high, the slow attack speed isn't that big a deal.
Yeah. And like the scatter shot, it can go very wrong if you miss like your angle even a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it was pretty cute because it showed like it aiming it pretty close off a wall and it's splitting it off into like 8-9 different directions. So I imagine there are times where you think you're gonna shoot and it just goes. You get the Diablo AOE effect where it just goes around the hero rather than actually hitting them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One thing to be said about slow attack speed heroes is that, like, if they have the same theoretical DPS as a faster attack speed hero, they're gonna do more actual DPS. Because it's hard to stand still and constantly auto attack at a high speed and actually dodge skill shots. But when you only have to weave in one attack every second and a half or whatever, then you can do that. It's not that hard, and you can get your full DPS in. So as long as his base AD is actually impactful, he's gonna weave in those damage, and it's gonna be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah, I think they also said initially his cooldown was going to be 3 seconds, and then they realized they were insane and brought it down to 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
For his auto attack.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Initially they were going to do 3 seconds, is what they said.
Man,
That's
that thing ready to
crazy.
do half of a Tracer's health or something.
Right.
He would have just like sat in the corner.
Right. You get healed up from Lucio ticks before the overheals the auto attack damage from 3 seconds of Lucio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just a hard counter.
Most definitely. Well, on top of all the BlizzCon stuff, there was the conclusion of HEC.
We do have some E-Sprouts.
Yeah, we have some E-Sprouts to talk about. We didn't get to talk about opening week last week, but I wanted to very quickly ask what you thought was the biggest surprise of the group stages.
3 NA teams getting out.
Yeah, 3 NA teams getting out. I would say
Wow.
Tempo Storm turning around in the middle of the series, basically on the brink of being eliminated from group stage, and pulling out some strats that obviously worked with the Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Most surprising for me was Dignitas getting out in the first round.
Wait, what?
Oh, we're talking about group stages right now.
Oh, you meant the round of 8.
But this round of 8, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, group stage.
Oh, you're
This sounds
way
getting out
behind.
of groups was not surprising.
Yeah.
See, and that was your answer. Like, that surprises me.
What?
I thought Carl definitely would have. I mean, okay, yeah, all NA teams getting out is pretty surprising, but you were just mind shattered over Roll20 beating.
I mean, that's
Tempest.
part of 3 NA teams
Mighty.
getting out of groups.
Yeah, but that one messed with you. Like, you were legitimately messed up over that.
Okay. You were all dumb. Because it didn't mess with any of the rest of you. Like, this is a North American team just beat a Korean team.
Yeah,
That like, Cloud9 did that in 2015 with Murky Cheese. We were all happy, and we were like,
yeah, and
on,
it
was
was
great.
against the Korean team who were so cocky. They said everyone else should just have fun because we're here to win, and they need to get taken down a peg.
Yeah, so good on Cloud9. I'm glad they did it. They cheesed their way into a victory. Roll20 actually beat a Korean team, and that was insane. That was actually insane.
Well, we talked about this. We talked about how some of the Korean teams and some of the European teams weren't prepared for the newer teams being better and getting better. They were just relying on the fact that they are good. We talked about that before, and it showed in the group stages and in the top 8.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I did share Carl's sentiments that it was absolutely bananas that they actually delivered, because that's just a Korean team. It was insane, but yeah, I mean,
But not
I don't
all.
know.
Okay, never mind.
my biggest, I don't know. I'm annoyed by the cheese narrative. Like, I guess it's not my biggest surprise, but that's what I took out of group stages. I hate it how everyone's like, oh yeah, they just cheesed their way there though. It's like, no, they really didn't. I mean, first off, Roll20 in no way cheesed their way.
No, okay. They cheesed Warhead Junction. You know what I had to deal with all week or all of Sunday, because the first map was Warhead Junction. Variations of that exact comp. Like, and both teams lost.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Like,
Are you talking about the 5-minute game?
no, the one where Roll20 played on Warhead, and then they just took Boss Alt game. They got one boss pushed with
Oh,
the ran bottom, got that boss, and by the time that boss is done, the top boss respawned. So they ran and got that, and
3 bosses in 11 minutes and 15 seconds. It was.
Yeah, and like people were doing that all weekend, and it was just like, no, you guys don't. You guys are okay, but like you don't have Roll20's coordination.
So here's what cheese is, right? Cheese works because the enemy doesn't know what's happening. If the enemy understood it, it wouldn't work, and that's cheese.
Yeah.
Right. If you're saying like we're gonna pick this thing, and it's not actually a good strategy, but if you're not prepared for it, it's a good strategy. That's cheese.
That's my inherent problem with them calling it cheese at the highest levels of gameplay. If you're in group stages and you're on your way to BlizzCon, you shouldn't be throwing out the wah I got cheesed excuse. You should have been prepared for that.
Yeah, like that. And
if you just spend your entire time scrimming against top tier meta, that's kind of your fault. Like, you should be thinking about the weird things that can happen in this game, because there's now like 60, 70 plus heroes and 8 maps total possibility at any given, like there's a lot of things that can happen. So like when a game doesn't play out the way everyone expects it to, it's immediately thrown, like cheese starts getting thrown around, and you see Caldor tweeting about it. Like I just think it's not a fair representation of the skill level of the players who worked hard to come up with a strategy that would get them a win in a clutch situation.
Yeah, and for a strat like what Roll20 ran, like that's not so much cheese as it's an all-in strat. Like they are banking on this one thing to work, and if it gets countered, there goes the game. It's not like something that'll drag out a game, like picking a Murky, where at least you can kind of delay the game to late levels with him, even if you're getting kind of railroaded. Like this is, it works or we lose. And for them, that's like, to me, that's the difference between an all-in strat versus a cheese strat. There is no gray area with an all-in strat. It is, we win hard or we just simply don't win.
Yeah. So I don't really think was Samurai a part of that game?
Yeah, he was part of one of the games.
Battlefield of Eternity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was against Ballistics, and that was the one they won.
Yeah, I mean, they too had Ballistics, so they won all their games versus Ballistics. So Samurai was weird. There were definitely games where NA won, and it wasn't like this was a really weird cheese strategy that nobody expected and whatever. Like, NA had respectable wins. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to say that NA just, they didn't deserve any of the stuff they got. Like, NA actually did well. And like I said, 3 NA teams getting out of group was crazy. I expected Freedom to get out, and that was it. Right? Freedom had Fnatic in their group, and then like a wildcard team and a Chinese team with 3 subs. So like if Freedom didn't get out of that group, then it would have been
there would have been chaos.
Question.
Yeah.
So the weird thing was Elena calling Tempo Storm's group perfectly. Like that blew my mind, because like we were looking at that, like when you were gone and we were talking about your picks, we're like, wait, she's got CE beating Tempo Storm, but she's got Tempo Storm moving on, which means like they're going to get through, Tempo's going to move on through the lower bracket, and lo and behold, you were 100% correct. So
Tempo is
good,
one of those...
good on you for that one. Like, I was
Tempo is just one of those teams that, like some others, like they need to get revved up. Like they don't come into it like a steamroller like MVP Black did. Like not necessarily a warm up, but they just like, it's almost like they need to test the waters. It's just something I've noticed about watching them.
I add a side note. I don't like the single limb format. Not for a tournament that important.
Yeah, that made it really interesting, though. At least the last 2 series on the first day, Tempo took a game off Fnatic and Roll20 took a game off Ballistics.
Yeah. So I I disagree with Willie, and we've saved our points to each other in the group chat. I think a single elim is fine, but I don't want to see best of threes at BlizzCon in the bracket stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
and that's
the
fine.
weekly league play is best of fives. Like,
Yeah.
the Ventic versus Even in Death was a best of 5. But we got a best of 3 in the round of 8 in BlizzCon.
Yeah, and that, like, and I'm sorry, the international has just spoiled me. Like, it is. Granted, they have a lot more time to get those games out of the way and everything. And I'm sure it's the same with Worlds, that they have a whole
Worlds
week
is over a month.
Worlds
You're
is
kidding.
super long.
No, I'm not kidding.
No, he's
Why
not.
is it?
They do like 1 weekend, or no, group stage is 2 weeks,
Why
like
is it
4
that
days a
long?
week for 2 weeks. And then
Why?
the next weekend is quarterfinals. The next weekend is semis. The next weekend is finals.
So what is
Oh,
it like?
oh,
just group
and-
stages all the way through, or like what is going on with that? Why is it so long?
It's kind of like how Dorm operates.
Yeah, I mean it's they do best of 5s starting from quarters. and it's
Okay.
League of Legends, and so it just
Hold on.
And also, each stage is in a different
me-
location, like
Yes.
physical
Let
location.
me- how many teams go to Worlds?
16. Well, it's more this year with the play-ins, but starting for actual Worlds is 16 teams. So the first 2 weeks of Worlds you have 4 groups of 4, and you play a double round robin, double best of 1 round robin. So each
Okay.
team plays 6 games, except to play the other 3 teams in their group twice, and that takes place over 2 weeks with I think 4 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. Of this gameplay. And so there's like this delay between week 1 and week 2, and you kind of get like, all right, here's where we think stuff happens after week 1, and then NA crumbles in week 2. We never make it out of groups, except for Cloud9, NA's last hope. But like it kind of gives you this time for like adaptation, where you kind of like, okay, we come into Worlds and we think them as this thing, and that's week 1 for group stages goes. And then teams get to scrim, they get more time for scrim, they get to see how the meta turns out, and then week 2 looks completely different as teams have figured out more stuff and have kind of understand the meta more, and you get the results out of groups. And so that happens. So that's your first 2 weeks. And then week 3 on a weekend, over the 2 days of the weekend, they do the quarterfinals, the round of 8, and they do those. And then the next weekend, they do the semis, and then the next weekend they do the finals. And they split it out, and like there's really no reason to actually have to do the semis and the finals a week apart, but they like to. They just stretch this thing out over an obscene amount of time.
Okay, so in comparison, for Dota, and again, sorry, Elena, I know you hate this. They do 18 teams. Group stage is 4 days, split into 2 groups of 9. I believe everybody plays each other twice. Yeah, 16 games. So yeah, everybody plays each other twice. Similar format, but they do it over 4 days. And then the main event is 6 days, where the very start, like this is the thing that I don't even like this. Like the lower bracket starts are best of 1s, first round.
I hate that so much.
And to give you an idea of how much money was made, 13th through 16th place made $123,000 each. If you got past that, it went up $200,000. So if you got 9th through 12th, if you got 7th or 8th, $600,000. So essentially, if you got 7th or 8th at international, you just won BlizzCon money.
So the question is, why is the scope of it that different? Like, what is the line between
Are you talking about time played or prize pool?
prize pool? Like, why prize pool and like interest and the
Player
time
base.
frame and everything?
Dota has hats. I mean, literally, that's
Yeah.
the reason why Dota's
Yep.
prize pool reaches just south of $30 million this year.
Mhm.
Like,
It's
People-
basically crowdfunded.
yeah,
Prize pool.
like you can buy various items, and 25% of that goes to the prize pool. Valve keeps the other 75% for themselves. So take that into mind when you hear that $30 million, that $27 million prize pool. That's only 25% of the total sales.
So Blizzard did do this with StarCraft 2 this year.
And they messed it up.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see what they do with it next year. And speaking of which, this is a random BlizzCon story, but I met Gladman.
You met him?
Yes.
Met him?
Yes.
What?
He was at BlizzCon.
Was he like in a suit made of money?
No, but the dude is like super ripped. I was not expecting that.
Did you ask him why he has so much money?
No, you don't ask people like that kind of question.
No, that's bunk. You ask him how much did he donate? Like $100,000 just to HGC?
It's something like that. It's absurd.
Ridiculous amount of
He's
money.
kind of like a myth in the community, it seems like.
Ask him something. Like, if I met him, I'm like, dude, why do you have so much money?
Like, I see this guy walking around with KO. I'm like, KO, who's this guy? He's like, oh, that's Gladman. I'm like, are you serious?
Can I just touch your hand?
Oh, my goodness.
So, okay.
Sure.
All right, we're getting off rails.
The
Carl.
crowdfunding makes a difference. And just to be frank, Dota 2 has more players than Heroes of the Storm. Right?
What?
Valve rakes in more money from Dota than Blizzard does from Heroes of the Storm. Valve has more players to crowdfund their tournament than Heroes of the Storm does.
Well, wait. With this change to skins, Blizzard might just start making more money.
They might.
The skins. Help me out here.
Okay.
Oh,
oh no, this is gonna be another 30-minute discussion.
We should touch on this real quick and then get back to the actual bracket stage of HGC.
Notes version.
Okay, Cliff Notes. With the release of Alex Straza, her skins will only be available with gems. Moving on.
The release skin is only available with gems.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay. Yes.
They did it because people said they feel like they want to be able to buy skins with gems at any point, and they hate it going away and they have to use shards. So Blizzard said, how about we make it permanently available for gems, but if we're going to do that, we can't let you make it with shards.
Okay.
Which wasn't what we were asking, but okay.
How about we get rid of gems and just let us do cash transactions? Like, I'd like to use my PayPal again at some point.
Like Heroes 1.0?
Yeah. There was nothing wrong with that system.
So I don't even care if it's gems. I just want things to actually be available at all points in time.
That's fair. And they just need to open up skins to community content.
Yep.
So,
anyways,
actual bracket stage. It was very surprising. NA all got out. China did not get out of groups.
I was surprised at that.
I mean, I expected at least one.
I felt like one should have gotten
subs,
out.
But
we talked about that, where I don't understand what it is about. That is the only region that has ever had problems, and they consistently have the same problem every single year.
China and the U.S. don't play well together.
No, that's not a valid excuse. Didn't the Overwatch team have the same problem?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's what I heard. Okay, so Valve, Dota 2, every year, every member of China makes it. No problems at all, period. I've never...
I mean, it's true about League as well.
The Russians have more problems getting to America.
I will say the Chinese, it is actually more difficult than other nations for the Chinese players to get a visa.
I wonder if it has something to do with whoever the handler is with getting the visas, or getting them on schedule with the visas or something. I don't know. It just seems like the Korean teams never have any issues. The European teams never have any issues. South America, no one. Australia, nothing.
So, I don't know.
That's a great mystery.
It's weird.
But, okay, no Chinese teams made it out. We had bracket stage. First game was MVP Black versus Tempo Storm. Rest in peace, NA. You will be missed.
Yep. I will say, I really enjoyed...
No, it was Freedom. Sorry.
Yeah. I will say I really enjoyed that silly strategy on Towers of Doom that Fnatic or Tempo stole that game from Fnatic, where they used Medivh and Garrosh, and I was sitting with a bunch of community people, and we kind of saw it happening as they were playing out. We're like, because we were all thinking, oh, what ult is Medivh going to take? And then we realized, oh, they're going to take the sheep ult, and then just taunt people, polybomb it. And so every time it happened, we just went nuts because it was such a fun combo to see happen. And obviously we know what happened after that though. Fnatic was like, wait, we're Fnatic.
The biggest, Tempo took a game off of Fnatic, which was huge. Roll20 took a game off of Ballistics, which was huge. That was really cool.
That was a very patient game too. That was a longer game.
And then Expert 2-0 Dig. Game 2, Dig was in control. They got really close, and then Expert just kind of dominated the bottom lane on towers and won the game.
I could not believe that
it
game.
Was a crazy
like
game.
if you watch one game
like
from
I need
this,
to rewatch those two.
That game 2 on Towers of Doom between Expert and Dig. Expert looked out of that game, and they clawed their way back in.
Like I did not expect. First of all, I didn't see Dignitas losing that round, but knowing. Like, nothing against Expert. I think Expert is very good. I just didn't see Dignitas not advancing to the Final Four.
Yeah. I mean, Dig's a great team. They've been really high up there in the past. Expert's new to international events, and Dignitas has beat them locally, but Expert pulled it out. I'm proud of them. They did great.
Yeah.
Go Bad Benny and his new shaved face.
I know.
So that was really the only actual upset of the round of 8. If you're not counting like the fact that NA got games off. Round of 4 happened, and the semifinals were MVP Black versus Expert, which was pretty unfortunately one-sided.
Yeah, that was kind of not painful to watch, but like kind of like if you go to another event, you still know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, MVP Black was just in control of those games. Like, they were going to win, and they did it, and they executed it well. And it's like, well, MVP Black is the better team.
But we've discussed this where I said, like, what all did MVP Black do between mid-season brawl and this that changed so much for them?
I think they didn't lose the series at all.
Yeah.
Because, like, them dropping out of mid-season brawl, they had changes, right?
They said the major driving force was their scrims with Dig, right? Or was it Fnatic? They were scrimming with one of the European teams quite a bit, and they said they learned a lot about how to play the game from scrimming with. I can't remember if it was Dig or Fnatic.
Because in the 4 months between mid-season brawl and BlizzCon, they completely changed how they play. They completely changed like the way they did because like you remember MVP Black and mid-season brawl, they only banned what their current region meta was. They didn't pay attention to anyone except Dignitas, and they said they didn't pay attention or prepare for anyone except Dignitas, and this was totally different for them.
Yeah, they definitely seemed to come in with the idea that they couldn't half-ass it anymore. The famous comment they made a few years ago where they said they basically didn't have to practice or whatever, and they felt like everybody else needed to catch up to them or whatever. Then they went on the losing streak, and I think they finally found the right attitude for playing the game, and the skill level was always there. They just had kind of a crappy team.
Reset is actually insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Stop letting him have Li Ming.
Stop letting him play the game.
Yeah.
If you're gonna win a series, then people like just ban Reset.
Pretty much.
The other semifinal was Fnatic versus Ballistics, which was another 3-0, right?
Yes,
it was.
Fnatic 3-0'd them.
The first game was really close. Second game was not that close. Third game, Fnatic won in like 11 minutes. They got progressively more dominant. They looked good. It kind of gave me some confidence going into it. It was like, ooh, Fnatic struggled against Tempo Storm. It was like, no, they look really good against Ballistics.
It was either the second or third game they pulled a 10 or 11 minute boss march on the core.
Yeah, that was the third game.
Yeah. That was kind of it's over Well, because I know a lot of people. What was it? It was either during the Tempo Storm ones. It might have been during the Tempo Storm match where people were getting frustrated with Schwimpy's Medivh play. How he was getting too cocky with the sprays and not paying enough attention to the game.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of they needed to take 5 and regroup from that.
Mm-hmm. They played well. And in the finals, game 1 was actually crazy. It was Cursed Hollow. Fnatic was winning the early game. They had a Falstad on their team. And they got a boss. And then they traded the boss for Curse. And MVP fought them and won the team fight. But Falstad flew to the core. I think it was Falstad flew to the core to push with the boss and got it down to like 30%.
Yeah, it was something like that. I remember that.
He ducked out of the team fight early, flew to the boss, took it in and got the core down to like 30%. I think.
Yeah, because they had to back because they were going to counter push in the bottom.
Yeah.
Lane.
So MVP couldn't actually get anything done with the curse, and then later. I want to say later Dig tried to all in and Falstad didn't fly in, and it didn't work. And then Fnatic they managed to end the game at some point. They were pretty clever bait. Like I think MVP got a top boss, and then they made MVP back off so they didn't get backdoored, and they dealt with the top boss really well, and then they went in and they ended the game, and it was pretty well played from Fnatic. They put themselves kind of in a space where they're behind with some of those core calls, but they're also in a position where they can end at any time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really interesting game to watch. I don't specifically remember the other 3 games. MVP Black was mostly in control for the rest of the series, though.
Yeah, the Tomb of the Spider Queen match, which was the final game, it was definitely within Fnatic's reach, but they just kind of fell apart a little bit at the end and reset once again on the Chromie. Just a little too much for them to deal with.
I don't know about Zex, but I was kind of in the boat where like I wanted to watch more, but I didn't really have the time with the coverage.
Yeah,
I kind of had it up, but
that's
viewed it, and then you guys probably have BlizzCon too, all over the place.
Yeah, that's the thing with BlizzCon is the problem is I'm a fan of basically all their games, so I'm kind of all over the place. But yeah, I made sure to watch the Tempo Storm Fnatic series, and then I caught a bit of the finals as well.
I sat in front of my TV for the finals, so I watched it all. What, Willie?
I just had the one panel on day 2, so I got to watch. I don't remember which set was going on. I think it was whoever Expert was playing, but I pretty much knew Expert was going to get smashed by MVP, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So and then I gotta watch the rest of the fun.
But like I said, when I was talking to them, for as sad as I am that NA didn't make it out of the top 8, I also look forward to next year because there's a lot of new things and it's a lot of beginning points for next year. So the fact that it is still exponentially growing and getting better is a good sign.
Yeah. So like I don't know. At some point in the past, Zex just tried to pass off NA taking 1 game in 13 out of EU was progress. That was nonsense. This is progress, though. This is really good. Like, NA beat a Korean team. They beat a Chinese team with 1 sub, but hey, it was still CE. They took games off Fnatic. They took games off Ballistics. Like, this was a really good year for NA. They didn't come out of this as yeah, we're the most dominant region, but they proved they're better than China. They proved that the best of NA can compete, right? Maybe we're not gonna win the series, but we're not gonna look like idiots when we lose.
Yes,
so
we are.
Definitely in the future, NA could pull something out. Maybe next year NA beats Expert or even Dig or something.
Well, it'll be an interesting change because now we have where's he from? South America. We have South America player joining the NA roster.
Or
Not
trying
sure who
to.
he'll be joining. So
Who?
Well,
What
that's-
now?
J Sharp A is moving to North America to try to join HEC team.
Now, is that the arms guy? Is that Mr. Flexing from Red Canic?
Yes, I
Canids?
think so. I believe so.
Yeah, that's the arms guy. So great, we get to see him flex every
Here,
weekend.
this is assuming he makes it on a new team.
Yeah.
He will. He's not a bad player.
Yeah, the other news that came out of BlizzCon as far as esports, as far as roster changes, really quickly, I know we're running really long. Prismaticism became a free agent, so Roll20 already making moves with their roster going forward.
Ew.
Oh, just to really touch on it, in Game 3 of Roll20 versus Ballistics, they had the single worst draft in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
I don't know what possibly could have made them think that was a good idea, but it was wrong. And
Yeah,
they lost the game.
Like I saw that.
Go ahead, sir.
I
Yeah.
saw that Lost Vikings pick.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is done. Like they're gonna. They drafted it into a Greymane. They drafted it
Into a Zeratul.
Into a Zeratul Greymane.
Like I have no idea what you guys were thinking.
Like
but you
the
guys-
game wasn't even a minute old, and like one of the Vikings was dead.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Like,
game wasn't
that-
3 minutes old and the Vikings had like 5 deaths. It was not pretty. It was not pretty.
No, it was. You're right. It was single. Like I'm more annoyed at that draft than I was at Freedom, trying that boss core rush with one less nuke than the other team. Like that set me off. But that draft just was like, I don't know what you were thinking, but all of you must have blacked out and somebody's face hit the keyboard on Vikings.
I honestly think they had like an idea for a strategy during
Yeah.
like Warhead Junction or Garden of Terror or something like that. Like that's the only time you pick Vikings, and even then it's sketchy to pick them into Zeratul Greymane.
They had a.
It's not
It's just-
sketchy. It's wrong. Like
But
there's no
it's not.
sketchy
It's
about
not
it.
something they haven't done before because they've done this multiple times in the last like 5 months where they pick something weird for a very specific reason and a very specific plan. They just couldn't execute this one. They did
Charlotte-
the same thing when they picked Hammer.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like usually when they pull something out there, like you can kind of see the synergy. You see, like, okay, this is why this works, right?
But
And-
usually you don't see it until like level 13 to 16.
I'm fine with them doing stuff like that, honestly, but I mean, I don't think Game 3 in a decisive, elimination series at BlizzCon is the time to be testing out weird strategies that might or might not work.
Yeah, you bet the farm on a dead cow.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
there's
there's
no,
like, we're gonna draft a Kerrigan here, and like that's pretty aggressive, and maybe they've got a plan they can make it work. It's like, okay, yeah. We're gonna pick Vikings into Greymane Zeratul with a comp that doesn't support Vikings at all.
Yeah, you're right. Like the Samuro pick on Battlefield was actually pretty smart. That was a smart pick. Like it worked out very well for that comp. Like they played the patient game and they won it on Battlefield. It was smart. The Samuro, the Garrosh Diva was kind of weird, but like it was just a couple of some positioning errors that cost them that fight. They could have won that game, I felt.
I
You know-
agree, and I think they showed their trick too early.
And they
'Cause
just
they didn't get anything out of it the first time, and then everybody knew what was coming.
yeah, and then like I'm just gonna mute.
It was bad.
Oh man. Anyways, that's as much of our coverage as we can get into an hour and 40 minutes.
We can't shake the clown fiesta stereotype if we keep
what?
doing clown fiesta stuff.
All right.
Just
I can
saying.
understand that.
I agree with him. Like the ending is very disappointing when you for the last NA fight to end that way, when you've had all this like feel good story going through BlizzCon about NA, and then the last thing that happens involves a Lost Vikings draft where the match ends in like 12 minutes.
Tracer Stitches Lost Viking.
Yeah, it's
Those three
it's a
hitting
sucky
recess energy.
feeling. Those are 3 different comps.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my goodness.
It's like Glaurung just headbutted the keyboard, hoping for the best.
Well, the weirdest thing about that for me is I've never even thought Goku would play something like that, because he doesn't normally play full
clearly
bear
he didn't.
specialist.
He clearly didn't until that day.
But I don't know. HGC overall was pretty good.
No, it was.
tournament.
It was a great tournament.
We got our first 2-time winners
It was.
Out of 3 tournaments.
out of 5 tournaments.
I don't okay.
So there's BlizzCon
it's
2015.
fine. No,
Okay,
I understand. I know
The
it's getting a
first
5
team
from.
to win 2 since the inception of Heroes. Because when you say 2-time, no matter how you say it, it sounds like they did it consecutively, and they didn't.
You don't
No,
count
wait.
the very first tournament, because the very first tournament was an invitational, and Cloud9 board.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can say that. But okay, so it's 4. So you got spring 2016, summer 2016, fall 20. Wait, no, because there's 3 tournaments in 2016, right? So there's spring, summer, fall, and then there was midseason brawl, and then there was BlizzCon. So there are still 5, if you're not counting the original BlizzCon, which is pretty fair not to count. It's not quite Freak's Basement, but it's pretty fair.
Shout outs at Hank Bobby Hill.
Yeah. Bobby Hank Hill.
There we go. Yeah.
He was a nice guy.
So yeah, MVP won twice. Props to them. They're a very good team. Hopefully we can get some, at least EU wins again. I like Western teams winning.
Can we start
Hopefully NA can reach top 4 in the next 2 globals. I think would be really cool.
just start pulling some North Korean shenanigans and start kidnapping South Koreans. And just have...
Oh my goodness. Let's not go down that path.
Nah.
Anyways,
BlizzPro does not condone kidnapping.
there we go.
We don't
Can
condone
we get through
kidnapping.
one show without having to give out that disclaimer?
I know. Anyways,
I'm still on the show.
Oh, we are so over time, but it is BlizzCon, so that's expected. Follow us on twitter.com/heroespower, patreon.com/heroespower if you want to support the show. Check out all the archive episodes and VODs on youtube.com/BlizzPro. Any closing thoughts before we finish up? Balrog fan.
My closing thoughts are Willie's.
All right, Zextrus.
Pressure's on.
You have two
Why-
closing thoughts.
Rework Chen and rework Chen, you turds.
Physical art.
BlizzCon was a good time, and I hope to see people there next year. And now we have to find out what to fill our HGC time with.
Well, we have a couple weeks, I think, till we start that. But anyways,
Or at least we have junk right
we
now.
have some time off. P-Flame-G, how about you?
Nexus commentary says stuff. We got Rect League. We got Training Grounds. Follow that Twitch channel for it on Thursdays and Sundays. We've got cool stuff in the works. I've got some stats coming up. Other than that, go to bed, you crazy kids.
Yep. Make sure to stay tight, and we'll leave you with this great quote from Wolf from the HGC this weekend.
Crazy way to start this series. I feel like if you're black, you've simply made every wrong choice.